Welcome to Positive Energy with Crystals. My name's Hillary, and today we are going to continue our crystal grid setup. So this is a series where I'm relearning how to work with crystal grids, and I'm bringing you along. And today we're going to focus on the center. So first, if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, find the Positive Energy with Crystals Facebook group and join it. I'm going to do a lot more on there once there's more people. There's not very many of us in there right now, but it'll be a good place. I'll do announcements, ask questions, get your opinion on stuff, and even support other businesses. So be sure to do that. So last time we chose the type of layout we wanted to use, and I decided I wanted to use this wood grid with the Seed of Life layout. Now, before you start laying out the crystals, you need to choose where you're going to place it. On a shelf, a table, someplace out of the way that it won't get in the way of your day-to-day life or messed with. I have no idea where I'm putting mine yet. Like I've mentioned in the other videos, my living space is very small right now, so I don't really have an out-of-the-way place for it yet. But I got a little time to think about it. So, not all grids will have a center crystal. Like placing the black tourmaline in the four corners of a property or the four corners of a room or your house. But for the type where you set it on a shelf, on a table, whatever, we're going to use a center crystal. So the center crystal has several purposes. It pulls the energy from all the other crystals that we'll have on the rest of the grid. It pulls all the energy from those crystals and brings it together to the center point, and then that crystal that's in the center point sends it out or does whatever it's supposed to do. It gives the grid a focus point for the intention. So the intention is what this crystal grid is, what its job is to be. It could be sending out protection. It could be sending out healing to a family member or for yourself. It could be prosperity, whatever whatever the purpose you have set for this grid, that's what this center crystal needs to help you do. So one way to help with the grid to know what the intention is, you can tell the grid and just set the intention of it. As you're setting up the entire crystal grid, let it know what you want it to do. You can also write your intention on a piece of paper, which I've done before, and you can put it in the center of the crystal grid and then put your center crystal on top of it, or you can put that piece of paper underneath, like put it on the table or the counter or whatever. If you're using the layout pattern, and then set the layout, whether it's wood, paper, whatever, set that on top of it. So that piece of paper with your intention is still in the center. It's just under, like in this situation, it'd be under this piece of wood. And then start setting your center crystals on there and then the other crystals. So you can do that. You don't have to do the piece of paper thing. I don't think I'm going to do it this time just because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put this yet. So I'm just going to make sure that when I'm setting this up and activating it, which will be much later video. When I'm activating it, I'm going to really focus on let the grid know what its purpose is. So next, choose the center crystal. So one of the really popular ones is a generator, which is like a little squatty type one, or you can use a tower, which is usually taller. You can't see that now. So the generator or point is usually the most common shape, but you can use any shape. You don't have to go out and specifically buy a generator or a tower or any of the other ones I'm going to show you. But I really like using a generator. To me, it just feels like, I don't know. I think because this one specifically, this little squatty, I've got one that's a little bit taller, but this little squatty one, I guess it just kind of feels like it's closer to the other crystals and it kind of brings in the energy better. But I guess I could also see that if it was a taller one, bring it in and it'd send it out easier. I don't know. It just whatever you feel like. So the purpose of I decided for my crystal grid is going to be a prosperity intention. So my little crystal or my clear crystal generator will be perfect for it. Now, if there's a different shape, like my husband has a pyrite unicorn that there's a special meaning. It's not that he likes unicorns. There's a special meaning behind his unicorn that we've joked about for a long time. So in his case, if he was really, really focusing on something that he really, really wanted, that's very specific, that's hard to find, a unicorn, he might put that in the center of his grid. Another popular one, if you're working with like a self-love or sending love to somebody, you might use a heart. And I've got this petrified wood heart that I really like. So I might set that in the center. And yeah, it'll still work the same. It'll still bring in the energy from the other crystals and send it out to wherever I'm wanting it to go. Whether it's to a certain person, to myself, whatever. Another popular shape, my little angel here. If I was doing some ancestor work or maybe some grief work or something like that, I could put my angel here in the center. Skulls, I don't have any of my skulls are packed up. You've never seen any of my skulls because I didn't have any until I bought a major collection that I keep teasing you about, but I have not made that video yet. But I've got skulls now that I could put in the center for a lot of people use them for ancestor work or protection. I now have this big, amazing black obsidian skull that would be an amazing one for a crystal grid for protection. I'm not big on skulls, and I really should stop talking about that collection until I actually do the video. But that skull just, I don't know, there's something about that skull that I really love. Okay. Spheres are really popular. So like we've talked about in the video where I talked about shapes, a sphere is going to send it, okay, well, hold on. Like a generator, it's going to send it up and out. A sphere is going to kind of do a more gentle out, whereas I guess to me, a generator feels like it's sending it out further. So I would use it for something that I want to send out into the universe, send out to, like, well, one example would be if I was setting up a healing grid for a family member that lives in a different state. I would use something, and I actually probably would use a taller point to send it out further. If I was doing something for myself, and this was going to be in my space more, like in a central space, I guess, I would probably use a sphere that just kind of, like sends it into my space, into a room, into my home. Now, if you don't have shapes, just a tumbled stone is perfectly fine. It's still going to work. It's still going to pull the energy in from all the other crystals and send it out to do whatever. You don't have to go out and buy a specific shape. If you're drawn to it and you want to, go for it. But you don't have to if you don't have the money to, or you just aren't drawn to something or whatever. Just using a tumbled stone is perfectly fine. So clear quartz is probably the most common center crystal, just because it's a really good generic crystal. If you don't have a specific crystal, you can always put a clear quartz in to substitute for it. It's what I usually use when I've tried doing the crystal grids before, and it's what I'm going to use in this one too. So this will be in the center of my crystal grid. Choosing a different crystal can give the grid a more focused energy, though. For instance, tourmaline for protection, pyrite for prosperity, lapis lazuli. Of course, I'm always going to bring this one up because I love it. Lapis lazuli for communication, amethyst for anxiety, or if you've got a better anxiety crystal that you like to use. Of course, I'm going to choose amethyst. Let's see. Just grab what I've got nearby. Green aventurine for luck. And do I have an agate nearby? No. Well, that's weird. So an agate would be a good one if you need a crystal grid set up for grounding. So take all these off. I can only use one hand because of the angle I have the camera. Oops. Because the angle I have the camera, I can't reach with my other hand. So you place your center crystal that you choose in the center of the grid, and you can have your piece of paper with your intention written underneath the crystal or underneath the board if you want to do that part. Then you start choosing the rest of the grid, the rest of the crystals that go on the grid. We'll do that in the next video, the next crystal grid video anyway. And we'll get into, I'm going to focus on the prosperity crystals from here on out, just because that's what I'm going to use this grid for. I think, and let me know if you want this or not, but I think I'll start kind of maybe showing, like, if there's a certain theme you want to see a crystal grid set up for, like protection, healing, anything like that. Let me know, put that in the comments of any of the crystal grid videos, and I'll work on that once we get the prosperity one all done and going. So think about what other ones you want to see. Right now we're going to do prosperity, and because that's an easy one, and I know I have plenty of crystals to work with that. So if you've got any questions so far about anything up to what we've done so far, put those in the comments. If you've got questions for like choosing what crystals to put in the grid, put those in the comments too, and I'll try to make sure I cover those in the next crystal grid video. That's all I've got for today. Leave any comments, questions, anything like that, don't forget to join the Facebook group, and I will see you next time.